I said in my post, he wears many hats as a primarily, I would say, which may be wrong, but primarily I would say he's a lawyer. And in that context, we will focus on his expertise, though, as a consultant on constitutional law reform. Just take this call real quick just to make sure everything's okay. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Insight. What's your question or comment? Please call back, just especially if there's an issue in terms of the... Oh, sorry, hold on a second. Lots of statics. Let me pull it back a bit and see. 1 minute. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Insight.
Yeah, your phone's working all right. I'm just listening.
Okay.
I just was trying my phone. I knew you're not taking calls right now.
Correct.
But
you can't hear online?
I beg your pardon?
You can't hear us clearly on the radio?
I can hear you clear on the radio. And,
okay.
I was just setting my phone into Mr. Perinchief.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
Well, call back later on.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. All right, so I guess we're okay. And I was, So I was just going on in terms of, for tonight, it's going to be good to have you from a legal perspective and setting out clearly what is and what isn't. One question that's already come up, which is the reality of us being able to change our Constitution. Whether it can happen, whether it cannot happen, and if it can happen, what are the circumstances? That's one of the big questions came up right away when I sent out my thing. And so, but as always, I tell you, Mr. Perinchief, my first question is for each person to introduce themselves in a way they want to be introduced, so that, because we think that we know everybody. I know Phil Perinchief, but guess what, you don't. So tell us a little bit about yourself in that regard. And as I said to you before we came on air, don't forget about your family history. You have a rich Perinchief family history, both legally, politically, and the rest of it. So give us a little feel on that, and then let's talk about your history, about you, in the context of constitutional reform.
Yeah, fine. Thank you very much, Anthony, and good night to the listening audience. Phil Perinchief, lawyer, mostly. My background goes pretty far back in terms of my political orientation. I won't get right into it, but I come from a matriarchal family, very, very strong women in my family, and they brought us through on the basic principle of fairness, being transparent, being upfront, being blunt, and sticking to your principles. Coming through that, my family, of course, and were my major support, as is with my nephew now, young Ryan Robertson Perinchief. He's come through this similar cauldron, so to speak, political cauldron. And then various episodes of my life. I joined the PLP very early on, 1967. So I don't know, Anthony, how old are you, man?
I'm not that old, but keep going.
Yeah, but what year?
Keep going.
I'm saying, I've been around a bit of bit of time with the PLP, 1967. Then I went off to the UK to do teaching at University College of Sheffield. And so I was a teacher for a while. But whilst in the UK, apart from the usual racism and what have you, and my reaction to that, because it was a total eye-opener, I was baptized in fire, so to speak, because I joined various movements up there in terms of the Vietnam War and protesting against that, the arms sales and shipments, what have you, by the UK, in fact, to apartheid South Africa at the time. And so from those various experiences and the political events that took place inevitably on campus, as we all from time to time encounter, I was really hardened into a philosophy that I hold today, which is basically I'm straight out socialist. But I also recognize the realities that the best we could probably do in a capitalist society like Bermuda and America and the UK is social democracy. So I had to sort of settle for that. I came back here in 1970. But before that, I skipped a bit because I came back here in 1969. And it was on the eve of 1970, in fact, December the 31st, 1969, when former Premier Ewart Brown and I, we simply took over the City Hall steps that afternoon. It was a one Saturday afternoon, and I, with the Bermuda Constitution in hand, Bermuda Constitutional Order in hand, 1968, and said we have a right to freedom of assembly, freedom of movement, freedom of speech. And you and I, at that point, carried the meeting from 3 to about 5, notwithstanding that the police, Commissioner Dockett at the time, newly arrived, tried to move us on. So baptized in that, I came back, I should say further baptized in that. I left and came back in 1970, and I suppose 8 or 9 months later, joined the Black Beret cadre, although before that I was more of a nationalist. My name at that time was Philip Uhuru, which is Swahili for freedom, and that I remain in my mind and in my practice the same, freedom.
And Philip, what was your last name again?
Uhuru.
How you spell it?
Uhuru. Swahili
Gotcha,
for
okay.
freedom.
Okay.
So that kind of thing, I still would, from time to time, however, go to the PLP and make our presence felt, along with quite a few others. Glenn Fobler, George Scott, and a few others. And at that time, the Bermuda Workers' Socialist Party was actually formed as an outcrop of the PLP, Pembroke branch mostly, and pushed on. So we had various experiences that way, and then of course we broke off and became, in the 70s, early 70s, mid-70s, the Black Beret cadre. So that was the Black Power era. My family, my mother and father, were also supporters of and members of the progressive group who opened the theaters. I think everyone knows what that group. He did a lot of the photography. My mother did quite a few flyers, and actually Mr. Hilton Hill and Georgina Hill were also close compatriots in that. So I came up within a kind of a family which aligned themselves both with a structured political protest, as well as, I suppose, more clandestine organizations. So the question of politics, and I say to people, because you are not, in fact, you may not even be there, but because you are not in a political party doesn't mean that you are not political or
right.
a political force. You may be a political activist. So politics really is about getting through or pushing through or finding resolutions for disagreements around how a country should progress. I put it as broadly as that, economically, politically, and otherwise. So I won't dwell on that.
Just a quick question. Sorry. You say you taught? What did you teach?
I taught. Actually, I taught at both levels. I taught at primary school, so I taught fairly well all the topics,
right.
all the subjects. And at the secondary level, I taught English and maths, and believe it or not, religious knowledge. There you have it.
I'm talking in the UK. I'm talking in the UK. You taught
UK, and when I came back, I taught at the Harrington Sound School, and I was also at, they call it Central School, then Victor Scott School. And for a short stint, actually, I believe under, if not certainly during the time of Mr. Dale Butler. So, and various stints at substitute teaching. That's little known.
Sure. No, I was more not concerned, but I was asking more when you went to the UK, what subject you teach at university? What did you teach? What level?
No. I studied teaching.
Oh, you started teaching. Okay, I thought you meant you went to the UK to teach.
Certified teacher.
Right.
And whilst there, of course, you have to go through the practice of teaching primary schools and secondary schools in order to get your degree or certificate.
Okay.
And then I came back to Bermuda and taught at the schools I just named.
Okay.
St. George Secondary School with Mr. Dale Butler.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, I started off, I suppose, as a teacher, and some of that is still with me, and that's why this evening I'd like to take time to just lay out sufficient, but not all.
And so to listen, audience, thank you again for joining us here on Magic 102.7 FM. Our guest tonight is Mr. Phil Perinchief, and he's telling me, as he told me like yesterday and today and a few other days, right, that he wants to take 20 minutes or so to lay the foundation of the discussion to make sure that everybody has the correct context. And I said to him, I was smiling because my show is always spontaneous, and so he can start and you ask questions and that kind of thing. But I do take the point, and obviously as a lawyer, and so you have a way of framing the argument before you go forward. And so it's important also for us to do that. And tonight, I think we will give you the chance. I'll probably ask questions as you go, but it's important because we do have to understand Bermuda's constitutional context. And as you say right now, we don't have a constitution per se. We have a constitutional order, 1968. And so talk some more about that, and I'll leave it to you now to lay, as you say, the groundwork. To this audience, though, we will let him go on. I'll ask questions or interject as necessary. Send me questions if you want. Either post them to Facebook directly or send them to me on my phone, really, which is going to be on 538-8683. And others that know me otherwise, send me on that phone, and I'll be able to answer all these questions. But as normal, we'll hold the phone lines until maybe about 30 minutes from now, and then we can have a proper interchange. Looking forward to this. Again, it's our structured approach to what we believe Bermuda needs right now, forgetting the actual the person that put the names forward so far, but more so, Bermuda, think more broadly about what we want in a leader, and then we can evaluate those two persons in terms of, for the delegates at least, who they should vote for. Mr. Perinchief, over to you.
In fact, I've rearranged structure as you talked, as you just spoke, and it's around the target, the strategy that I really do believe that it's more effective for me to teach a person how to fish rather than constantly give them a fish.
Yes.
And so I'm going to try to balance that without being too lawyerly and too long.
Yes.
So let me jump right into it.
Yes.
The theme here is, I understand, visionary leadership. And the motivator for that is the upcoming October 2026 leadership contest for the PLP. Am I got the theme right?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
And then you also ask for characteristics of a leader in today's politics. And I'll swiftly do that. In fact, I'll give you 5. And to keep it short, I've jotted them down. Basically, I believe any leader, any political leader, any leader of any government, and I'll pause here real quickly. When I speak of leader, I'm not an idol worshiper, have never been. I'm speaking of leadership with somebody, of course, at the helm. But the strength, as you saw the team today, and certainly in France, is just not one man or one person. It's about leadership and teamwork. Okay. And so when I speak of a leader, I'd like to think of a person of that caliber who could also pick a strong team. And basically, I think they should pick sound leadership picks is a person's sound knowledge of the workings of Bermuda's socio-economic system and a dogged determination and social conscience to ensure that the benefits of that economy are distributed equitably and adequately amongst all of the members of this Bermudian society, with no favor one way or the other for or against a class or a race. Secondly, I think the ability is to pick a team, as I said earlier, of knowledgeable, experienced people made up of a blend of young and not so young people to form a leadership which is ready, willing, and able to support without fear and can oppose without fear and even replace that leader should the situation warrant it. For instance, if the original goals of the party or the agenda are departed from without reasonable explanation, then that leader ought to be challenged from within. Hold their feet to the fire. Thirdly, to refrain from micromanaging intelligent and capable people and carrying out the roles, the portfolios. I've witnessed that all too often. Perhaps even on both sides, but certainly strongly within the PLP itself. And it's not a good fit, because that can lead to the idol worshipping of a leader who believes he or she knows all and others know less or nothing. And it's not a truism. And I think we've got to find a way to have a person who understands that perhaps light touch supervision is usually sufficient. And that's why I really do believe that any, quote, leader ought to be a leader without portfolio, but can utilize their time better as a leader, overseeing that things are moving cohesively and correctly.
So the obvious point then that you don't think the leader should be, say, in this instance right now, the Premier and Minister of Finance, he's not the first one to do it, but you're saying that the Premier should not have a portfolio, in your opinion?
No, I'm saying yes.
Okay, fine.
Portfolio.
Okay.
The portfolio is to look over all the portfolios to make sure that they are run.
No, I'm saying, so, but not to have
a particular ministry.
Yes, sorry, yes.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a Superman mentality.
Okay.
Just give me a break.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, no one can do that. I don't care who they are.
Sure.
Just let those folks who you picked and have confidence in, let them get on with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Get on with the task at hand. Fourthly, I think any leader today should have an understanding of Bermuda's current and future placing in a geopolitical landscape that is daily evolving. Bermuda, it's not a distant backwater. In fact, it has never been. It's not just an island, a sleepy island in the sun. We'll continue to have those political dinosaurs, however, who really believe that is so, and they want to say, keep the status quo the way it is. And I can say this, because you hear the expression, just like I hear it. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. Well, my point is, no, it might be outgrown. A quick example, I can buy a very new typewriter and have a very old computer. And my computer will certainly outpace the computer. In fact, it can absorb it. It can totally replace it or absorb it and still continue. The typewriter is just outdated. And that's what happens with systems that are moribund, too old. And I really do believe that the dynamics of today's society warrant more.
Okay.
In fact, I'm convinced of that. So our leaders today had to prepare, one, themselves, be knowledgeable about these things and about people. Two, they had to be able to prepare their political parties and their government to break out onto the international stage and directly through Bermuda's very own homegrown and crafted foreign policy. In the absence of the entrustments that are thrust upon our politicians today, our Home Minister right now with CARICOM, and any time I went abroad as the Attorney General, I was always straight-jacketed by entrustments, the parameters or boundaries for which I could represent Bermuda's interests. So I believe that any leadership must understand and begin to move towards independence, nation building, call it what you will, and sovereignty. Because these want-to-be leaders must first, however, on that point, educate themselves before they attempt to lead others in any direction on any issue, but certainly on the international stage. Our brothers and sisters to the Caribbean, to the South, in Africa, have made that step from as far back as 1965, and they continue to. So why are we still, and I'll come to that very quickly, to say which section makes us domestic politicians. It's okay, I'm not knocking the fact that we need paved roads and we need our parks cleaned, but that's not all we need. We also need, from the intelligence of our people and the vibrance of our youth, and I've watched it, you see it, make the proper blend of people and get on the international stage and represent and go after Bermuda's interests, not through the muted structure of asking our former slave master, UK, can I do so? What can I say? How far can I go? Etc., etc. Right. If you've been following the CARICOM initiative, all of that is there.
And I'll say to the listening audience to clarify, or to comment on that too, in terms of what Mr. Perinchief is talking about right now, is that even the premier, when he goes overseas, he has certain restrictions on what he can say, what he can do. One, I guess not obvious, but one familiar one is airline services. The Bermuda government, the premier and anybody else, does not have full authority to negotiate with airlines that can come to the island. They have to, at some point, depending upon the circumstances, go to the UK government to say, how far can we go, and those type of things. And so that's what Mr. Perinchief is getting at. It's a reality. The current premier talks about it sometimes, that we have to remember that we are a colony, and with that, there are certain restrictions.
In fact, excellent. Gotcha. And let's touch the Constitution.
Sure.
You'll find what we are talking about right now in Section 62 of the Bermuda Constitution, which says, really, it's reserved powers only for the governor and FCDO, the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office. They are the only ones. They have unrestricted and reserved powers under that to deal with external affairs, police, internal security, and armed forces. And that they won't let go, because that puts Bermuda on the international stage, and it allows Bermuda to act like an independent country. And here, I'll touch in broad terms. In 1968, the constitutional order that we have, order in council, and I'll get to that real quick.
Sure.
But in the Hansards of that time, 1967, 1968, the Hansard records in the Westminster Parliament records, it's there, it's in our archives, that the 1968 Constitution order was the most advanced at that time. So much so that other overseas territories, even today, want to have that.
Yes.
68 years is what, roughly 1968 to now? Over 53 years is thereabouts?
Yes.
Right. And we're still where we are. With the UK having reserved powers to themselves under Section 62.
And just to talk about real quick, because that was one of the questions to start with, was how can that be changed? How can the current constitutional order be changed?
We'll take, for that one, a constitutional conference. Now, we don't have to, every time we need to reform our constitution, to go abroad and have a constitutional conference. There can be agreements between. But when you say that you had the most advanced at that time, and the next step is sovereignty and independence, what is it you're trying to reform, my friend? What is left?
Right, and so the understanding is that there is no more change, practically speaking. There are some small tweaks, but no fundamental change unless Bermuda, you want to go independent.
Well, you give me tweaks, because I don't even see tweaks now. I'm going to tweak that on that one.
Sure. Gotcha.
Yeah, what are the tweaks, my friend? There are none.
No, you're talking about like small agreements. That's what I mean. But when I say tweaks, but in terms of the fundamental question is that from way back, it was already understood that we had the most advanced constitutional order, and you have everything you need. The next step is going to be independence.
Yes.
Because, like you said, the reserve powers already relate to the police, external negotiations, and what have you. And so to give those up, you're independent.
And what I'm saying is that anything else, like the tweaks we just mentioned, are really rearranging the furniture on the Titanic as it speeds its way to the bottom of the sea.
Okay, fair enough.
But you can line them up. But I'm telling you, unless we're going to move forward, that's what's happening. But I have one last.
Just that you said
number 5.
Right. To say I'm like 4.
No, that's okay. Just come in one.
I'm a student. So where's number 5?
Not a problem. I'll come right back.
Okay.
I'll stay live and come in anytime, my friend.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So number 5, and lastly, because I just laid out 5 real quick ones that came to mind. At all times, bar none, these would-be leaders must fearlessly and without biases of any nature seek to lead and govern with integrity, honesty, transparency, and consistency.
So integrity, honesty, what else you say?
Transparency, and consistency. Don't be a Trump.
Consistency.
And any leader who extols or has these 5 characteristics, in my view, is off to a great start.
Okay. Sorry, just a second. So let's own this again. Thank you.
Conversation right there, and then I'll move on to the British.
Got you, no worries. So again, listening audience, thank you for joining us here on Magic 102.7 FM. I got to give my spiel there. On your Sunday evening, you know that we appreciate you coming on board tonight on your Sunday evening. There is no need to iron school clothes, and so people are doing other things, hopefully getting ready for the week because they do have to have a work week. Children are getting ready for their camps and what have you, so you got to iron the clothes, at least wash the clothes, have them ready, have dinner cooked, had a good day at the the beach, what have you, and you're doing all those things. But again, we are here to discuss the leadership. And so Mr. Perinchief is here. He is given a structured one. If you are online looking at us, you see he has a note laid on front of him. I'm taking notes, and right now I'm just going to review what he said. And I will say this too, by the way, fully, is that everybody knows that my shows are always spontaneous. There is no prior conversation in terms of Mr. Perinchief, say this, say that, don't say the other. We're not trying to support any individual candidate. We're talking about the overall process. And I'm happy tonight because what Mr. Perinchief just did, in his own opinion, of course, is he laid out what he believes should be the characteristics of the leader, whoever it ends up being. And I'll try to summarize them. The person should themselves have a sound understanding of Bermuda's social and economic system and striving to make sure that that system benefits everybody equitably and adequately. There should be the leader should be prepared to choose a blend of young and not so young people, and that those people that are chosen should be prepared to change the leader if the leader diverges from what's intended to be without proper consultation. The leader should not micromanage the chosen ministers to avoid idol worship, because you don't want to have this situation whereby the person becomes greater than everybody else and people are afraid to disagree. In his summary, it was that there should be a light touch supervision. The leader should also understand Bermuda's geopolitical position in the world, both now and going forward. And he doesn't agree with the idea of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The idea is that some things are outdated, and so we should always, in my words, push the envelope. And number 5 is that the leader should fearlessly seek integrity, honesty, transparency, and consistency. That's his summary, and then we'll have a conversation about that. And I'm going to start at the end, by the way, because I made a point a few weeks ago now in terms of the integrity piece, because there was some commentary, and actually it's in the media also, right, in terms of integrity. And I said I was offended by that because I was part of the government while I was an MP and previous to that to be a senator. And I certainly was not part of anything that lacked integrity. And so I was challenging people to actually talk about what they mean, because it's easy to get on that train, right? And you'll be aware that with some previous leaders in the PLP, for sure, there was always this allegation of lacking integrity. And I always ask the question, show me the proof. And yes, I don't know everything. People may lie to me, that's for sure. But I was not aware of anything that allowed it to be, okay, fine, that the government itself was acting without integrity. There may be, I'm not saying it was, there may be individuals, but that does not then classify the entire government as lacking integrity. And so that was the point I want to clarify.
And because the the issue before me, or I thought the issue before me was about the leader.
Understood.
I'm speaking in that context
Yes.
of the leader. But no, in fact, it would be hard placed for me to really look at a government, any of these administrations we've had so far, and say that they were administrations without integrity.
Got it, okay.
However, what I'm saying is that for one of the characteristics, it certainly is that they should be people of integrity.
Yes, I got you. Understood.
Particularly leaders.
Okay, so thanks for that, by the way.
Yeah, not a problem. If you want me to move quickly, and I'll
Keep going. I'll add some comments, but carry on.
Because we're talking about constitutional reform.
Yes.
My suggestions will be primarily in relation to the Bermuda Constitutional Order. Although, quite frankly, I've always made the point, and I made the point with Arthur Hudson.
Sorry.
Not a problem. Arthur Hudson and David Hughes, when they both were with us.
Yes. Okay.
On the issue of reform for the PLP's constitution, because since 1998, fine, I'll probably take an election or two after that, having become the government and remaining the government for so long, and in my view, it probably will be that for quite a while again, further. We can't continue to operate under even a PLP constitution.
That's interesting.
That is not dynamic and not changing with the times and what have you. So the reform I'm suggesting is not only, I don't have much to say about the reform of the Bermuda Constitutional Order. I look at replacement of it. But
Sure.
But in any event, the PLP Constitution really does have to be reformed, and particularly in how it chooses its delegates. And there's some other electoral reforms that I believe should happen, and that's in the Constitution. But certainly within the PLP's Constitution itself, we must remember that all boats don't rise with a rising tide equally. I can get 20 or more people to join the PLP from Pembroke and Devonshire than I would. My chances would be a bit more stark and troublesome if I tried to do the same in various parts of Paget and a few other places, Fairylands and the rest of it.
Yeah.
We just have the pool of supporters because of our historical and racial and class gerrymandering has meant that there are many of our supporters, or more of our supporters, in Pembroke and Devonshire and maybe parts of St. George's and Sandys than there are in some of the central areas, Fairylands,
Sure.
Paget West, Paget East. And so when you say in the Constitution of the of PLP that you can have one delegate, it's the delegates who choose the party leader and ultimately the premier as well. But and you will get one delegate for every 20 people whom you sign up.
Yes.
Financially.
Yes.
And if for the next 20 you'll get another delegate.
Yes.
Well, you might find those 40 people in Hamilton Parish or in St. George's, but try to get as many in Paget, West or East, really, for the PLP.
Right.
And so, and one will ask, and quite rightly, well, how do we go about fixing that? I would suggest that we're not setting a precedent, and we don't have to accept that, but there is examples, not necessarily precedents, in how they choose senators in the United States. Each state has two.
Okay.
No matter what size the state, be it Delaware or California.
Yes.
So there's still two senators per state, notwithstanding the population. So I believe that we can choose our delegates or find a way to make it fair island-wide. Here, for instance, I'm just making a suggestion.
Sure.
Again, and I'm going to marry as much as I can do the constitutional change, because that's what would have to happen, of the constitutional order, and the PLP's associated change to accommodate that reform. And I say this, that if we were to have political units, well, reduce the politicians, my goodness, from down 19, maybe 21.
Okay.
21 constituents. And we divide the island up into 21 political units. And for each one of those units, which would be broader than they are now under the 36 smaller ones,
right?
And they wouldn't have to cut across. They'll cut
they have to cut across parish boundaries,
so
for sure.
There are 21, and accord. How many delegates do you usually have? Anywhere between 75 and 105?
Well, it's going to depend upon the membership, but
okay, you see what I mean.
So we keep on using 160, but it's more than that, by the way. But let's
precisely.
Let's say
you see the disparity. But what I'm saying is that to keep it as equal as we can, one person, one vote of equal value. That's what the PLP stand for. Then have 3 delegates assigned to the 21 units I just told you about.
But and the conversation though would be this. So clearly, at this point in time, right, not defending but explaining this. So the Progressive Labour Party as an entity is choosing a leader, right? And theirs to get to choose is proportional by unit, as you call it, but right now it's not going to be 21, by unit meaning each branch, right? Each branch is a unit. And so it's based upon the strength of the branch that they get delegates to have an impact. And so my comment, I guess, would be that for an entity, for an entity, PLP as an entity,
yes.
Right, that to select delegates based upon how many people support them at an area, I'm not quite sure why that's an issue, because let's say Paget East, for example, right? Paget East has very low support for the PLP, as compared to, say, Southampton East. So why is it that Southampton East wouldn't have more of a say, quote unquote, or more of an impact on the leadership than Paget East, who has less PLP support?
And that's equality?
I'm asking you.
No, but let me first say, if the goal is one vote for each delegate and equal value, we don't get it from that formula.
Well, remember, the equal and equality is 2 different things.
Okay, let's go there. If I'm in Paget,
yes,
and I go out to canvass for, on the basis of what you just said,
yes,
go to canvass for as many members to join the PLP. And what are my chances of fishing in that small pond with someone? Okay, let's say Paget, you represent Pembroke,
right? So you get 100 people. Let's say you go on canvas, right, in Paget
to get these,
and the maximum that you get is 100 people. Let's say, right? Let's just say about 50, whatever number you want. Let's say 100 for just for ease, right? In Pembroke, right? I got 1,000 in Pembroke, and so that means that the PLP support in Pembroke is stronger than the PLP support in Paget.
Yes. So, and because of the racial division and whatever, that class. And that's why I said, if we widen the constituency to take in more people and make that equal, 21 equal political constituencies.
Which actually, they are right now, right? In terms of...
No, they're not.
Well, no, I'm saying broadly speaking, right? Broadly speaking, each constituency has 1,200 people, give or take. And the idea of the boundaries...
There are 36 units.
Yes.
Okay.
And the broad goal of the Boundaries Commission is to make sure that number, stays within reason. And so I'm suggesting to you then that the model that you're proposing already exists. In terms of, yes, there are 36 units, but the Boundaries Commission does try as best it can to make sure that the number of people in each unit is approximately the same. So that's why I get to roughly 1,200.
So we have 36 branches that have, and each branch has roughly, you're saying, each branch has
a total voter pool of roughly, yes.
But then that belies your argument about Paget, because Paget branch will not, in terms of PLP supporters.
Right, I'm not saying that.
See, exactly. So what I'm saying is that you are including in that at the moment, you're including in that everybody, 1,200 people who are not necessarily PLP supporters.
Correct, yes.
And I'm saying that when we take those 1,200 for each unit, it's disparate because in Paget there are likely to be, I don't know, but likely to be fewer PLP supporters than there are out of that 1,200 in, say, St. George, wherever.
Clearly.
And I'm saying we have to work towards, I have some ideas, but you have to work towards making that fairer. So I'm saying, why don't we just assign 3 delegates to each branch? Straight out. 3, it doesn't matter. How many? I could have 5,001 supporters in one constituency and 3 in another.
Okay.
But assign, I say 3, could be 5.
Whatever number,
but an assigned number to each branch, and then we will have, at least for the PLP, branch-wide for each branch, the same number of delegates.
You'd have equal numbers. Understood.
Yeah.
And so your suggestion overall would be that the PLP Constitution should be amended.
Yes.
Is it based upon the fact that, your opinion, based upon the fact that they have one government, or just based upon the fact it should be done, period?
Of one government?
No, because you said that the PLP won the government in 1998.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And now I think you said that based upon the fact that they won the government, won the election in 1998, that should cause them to change their constitution.
I said that's one of the reforms I'm saying is that as we move forward, I can look at other areas and sections, and along with others, of course, and put these kind of suggestions and recommendations before. In fact, as I said, David Hughes, Arthur Hudson, and myself were tasked with that. And as we came and put those forward, unfortunately, they were rejected by, it was Ms. Paula Cox at that time. Because, again, there was the feeling amongst some members that this was challenging their positions. But to me, full democracy demands that your position be challenged. No one should feel as though they're entitled to any particular official or executive position.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, that's a perspective.
So that was the idea.
Okay.
And I've only brought forward one.
Sure. And my question to you then would be, and hold on, Cole, I know the people are on the call now, but give me maybe 5 or 10 more minutes. So what I'll do is, I'm going to take the call, and then we'll get Mr. Perinchief to comment on that. So good evening, caller. Welcome to Inside. What's your question or comment?
Yes, good evening. Shouldn't we explain how a delegate is selected or how one ends up being a delegate? So, they seem to have...
Okay, let us do that. We'll do that.
Yes.
Okay.
That will be helpful as well, so people can understand that part of being a delegate, how to get selected.
Gotcha. Okay.
That bit.
We'll do.
Thank you. I'm listening.
Thank you. Well, yes, that's a good starting point. Let's talk right now about how delegates are selected. As you said, under the current PLP Constitution, what happens is every branch gets one delegate to start with.
Yes.
And then for every increment above 20.
Yes.
So for every extra 20 or part thereof, they get another one. And so, for example, if you get 20, you start with 21, you get 2.
Yes.
If you get to 26, you still get 2. When you get to 30, when you get to 40, that's when you start getting an extra one. And so that's what it is. As you know, it is in increments of 20 that you get extra ones.
It actually comes under Clause 5 of the PLP Constitution, starting with the Annual General Conference, and goes through a few pages. It'd be nice if we paginated it, but the PLP Constitution, in terms of the delegates, how they're chosen, and what have you, and the MPs. And
I'm smiling. I'm smiling
because you went through the process.
I'm smiling because Mr. Perinchief again brings out his teacher hat and his legal base also. Right, here's the documents, Anthony. Let's go through that. And so I agree with that. Yeah. And then of course what happens is, in terms of how they get chosen, is that each branch will have an actual meeting, properly notarized meeting that says we're going to have a meeting on, September or whatever, to choose our delegates, and then you attend, and then you say I want to be a delegate. And if it's more than the branch is allocated, there'll be a vote. And as Mr. Perinchief said, and I said the same thing, is that you need to make sure If you want to be a delegate, you have enough people there to support your nomination so you can win the vote and become a delegate. That's how it actually happens.
And you get on the list, and it's certified, and it's sent forward to the Secretary General. But you're right.
And it is, to be all honest, with all honesty, rather, there is an opportunity for you to, quote unquote, sway it. All you need to do is you sign up 20 people, get them to come to the meeting, vote for you, and chances are you'll be a delegate.
Yeah.
That's how it actually works.
Exactly.
But there's nothing secret about that, and it's the same thing for the delegates get chosen that way. And then also on the night of the actual election, the PLP MPs also get a chance to vote. And there are one or two others, which would be for the youth group, and also I think the women's caucus. They get one delegate each also. So that's the actual pieces. But primarily, the delegates are based upon the number of people that are verified financial members of a given branch. And then you have a meeting, have an election, and that's how they get chosen.
Yeah.
And it's not public. I don't think it should be public, to be honest, because...
And then the horse trading starts. People visit branches and get those branches to vote for you. And
I guess you may have it as horse trading, but it's a natural election process in terms of Anthony wants to be the leader, for example, then yes,
precisely.
You should go to each branch, because the branch are the ones that have delegates, and speak to delegates, because the delegates are the ones to talk to. Like, why speak to somebody else if they don't have a chance to vote?
And in my view, and this is where the fixed delegate idea that I floated earlier, if each branch has... I say it gives 5. If each branch has 5 delegates assigned to them,
yes,
then every branch you go to, there are 5 delegates you're trying to get through to.
Yes.
And so one branch doesn't seem to dominate, or group of branches, regionally or otherwise, don't seem to be ganging up against, in terms of block voting. Well, they could do that anyway.
Sure, yes.
Because that's politics.
Yes.
But with 3 per each branch will have roughly the same power of being able to vote in party leader, and you'll take me to the next step. But I just wanted, as I say, set the background for it. But can I?
Sure.
Unless you have another question.
No, that's fine. Keep going.
But can I do it? I'm going to attempt in the explanation of the usage or utilization of the Bermuda Constitutional Order within the context of what I call the 3 important dates, at least 2 important dates and incidences. I say Miss Jennifer Smith alleged coup in 2003. I'd like to deal with that because it's popularly thought at that time that after the general election in 2003, Ms. Smith was the premier, and that isn't, from a purist point of view, constitutional law.
Right.
She was not the premier at that time.
Was she the leader?
Pardon?
Was she the PLP leader?
She may have been the party leader, and that might have come through or automatically continued to be from the time that because you see, when she was the premier, say pre the election of 2003, she was both party leader and premier. But once there was a dissolution of parliament, she then remained the party leader.
Yes.
And she stood at the polls, one thinks, during 2003 as the party leader.
Yes.
It would have taken, I'll go there now, under Section 58 of the Bermuda Constitutional Order, you have to command the majority of the confidence of the MPs in the House of Assembly.
Yes.
So she would have to have at least 19 of those members of Parliament in order to become the premier and be appointed under Section 58. She did not have that. She had about 11 or 12. Sure. So she fell short of the 19 that are needed. And so constitutionally, the governor could not make her up as a premier.
Right. And just to clarify, because we talked this last week, right, in that, so what Mr. Perinchief is doing right now is talking about the distinction between the party leader and the premier. And as you said last week, and I think the week before that also, that the delegates and the PLP MPs will choose the party leader. And so if you go back historically, at that point in time, Dame Jennifer was the party leader during and after the election because the person for the leader gets voted in every 4 years. And so at that point in time, what Mr. Perinchief is clarifying is that he called it a coup, but anyway, the decision at that point in time was that the PLP MPs, or Dame Jennifer, I guess, at that point, did not have enough support to be appointed the premier. However, she was the party leader.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
So basically, to take that a little bit further, by way of example.
Yes.
Technically and legally, constitutionally, in fact, let's just take a hypothetical.
Yes.
Ms. Smith at that time could have reached out to the opposition,
correct,
8 people.
Yes.
And had she gotten the support of them and had 19 on her side, then she would have had the confidence of the majority of the House of Assembly.
Yes.
And so this bit about the party leader automatically becoming the premier is only from a party perspective. What the party does, be it OBA or PLP, but PLP in this case, and Ms. Smith's case, is that PLP have, almost by convention, said, if we win the government by having the majority of the MPs, we will then have that majority of the
MPs
of course, yes, give their confidence to our party leader.
Yes.
And so the latter is done up and sent on that basis to the governor to say, Ms. Smith has the confidence of the majority of it. So it's an accommodation.
And to be honest, I mean, in a practical sense, that is an expectation.
However,
a reasonable one at that.
In the theoretical example that I just gave, I'll take it further. Let's say there was just some other person, for want of argument, because there's another example of that, but let's say Mr. Sean Crockwell at that time, bless his soul, if he, 2003, you might not have been there.
No, I understand what your point is. Yeah.
But if he commanded 18 others, or had 19 people supporting him, PLP won.
Yeah, I understood. So what you're getting at is that there are some scenarios by which it will get complicated.
You could have a premier somewhere else, but a party leader of the PLP who's not the premier.
But again, I think...
And you have that during when they're opposition.
Yes.
But so my point is that if we are to interpret the Bermuda Constitutional Order strictly under Section 58, we could have different scenarios where the party leader is not constitutionally, or may not be constitutionally, the premier, but maybe the party leader.
And again, I
can bring you to that because there was a struggle. I don't know what year you joined the PLP, but we had 2 struggles during during my period there, when there were strident, especially in the 70s, to have a party leader separate from a premier, and that was going to be determined amongst the MPs themselves as to who should be the premier. And a party leader would handle the running of the party, and the premier would have the running of the parliamentary group, as they call it at that time, and there will be an overarching body, not a Politburo, but an overarching body, maybe a committee of the annual general conference, who would see over or oversee or supervise both those positions according to the delegates' wishes.
Which again, that's not for tonight necessarily, but that's interesting because it gets more complicated, it's more unwieldy, that's for sure. As you know, to have a committee make a decision is very different than a person make a decision. And some would say that the committee is more democratic than the individual, but it is definitely, it is very cumbersome.
What it did,
in that context,
may be, but it could keep as well the politicians from becoming renegade
Yes.
and running off from the principles of the party.
Understood. And again, I think for the listening audience, right, is to understand that, again, numerically and otherwise, I know legally, constitutionally, for sure, you could have not anybody, but it can be a different person that ends up being the premier from the party leader.
Yes.
However, as you know, there is, and I would use the word, there is an expectation that for the PLP MPs would support the PLP leader as being the premier.
And that's why it's accommodation.
Correct.
It's almost convention.
Right, convention, accommodation. Because if you start to unwind that, it means that the PLP MPs are not going to respect the decision of the PLP delegates, who are by extension more than the PLP MPs, as who the leader should be, because there is the understanding, expectation, I used the word, that the leader will be the premier.
Yeah, but you see, and it goes back to what we discussed earlier about idol worship.
Yes.
Because under, I think I said clause 5.
Yes.
I'm going to read.
Under the PLP Constitution, yes.
I'm going to read on PLP clause 5,
yes.
Annual General Conference, section 1. Subject as hereinafter provided, the Annual General Conference shall be the supreme authority for the governing of the party. So if they want to govern both the party leader and govern the premier, if he or she is then the premier, why not?
But again, I think that is a very technical, almost internal discussion, right? Because the it's not expected that the delegates or the
not expected by whom?
By the Constitution. That the that's the PLP Constitution, I'm saying.
No, the PLP Constitution. What I read, it said the Annual General Conference is the supreme authority.
Yes, but
so that means that the premier or the party leader could not act outside of what the delegates said. And this is hypothetical.
Right. I'm saying but you would accept for sure from your legal point of view, right? That is not. It is definitely not expected, right?
It's PLP constitutional position.
Yes, I've got that. I'm saying, but you would agree. I think you agree, or you would inform, I suppose, that the Bermuda Constitution of 1968 does in no way expect that the premier, who's been appointed by the governor, is going to be subject to the mechanisms of the party. And so it's expected that the premier is the premier.
And quite frankly, why I said it was
it's a technical point, for sure.
It was a convention.
Yes.
Because the governor really would not intervene at all. However, if he needed to, he could intervene.
Yes.
Because he'll say, I am going to deal with that MP under Section 58 who commands the majority, the confidence of the majority of the members of the House of Assembly, not of the PLP, OBA, or whomever.
Yeah. And so again, to the listening audience, thanks again for that point, because it's an important point. People have been asking about it, and so I want to summarize that by saying that, I guess, legally or constitutionally, the PLP leader might not be the same person as the premier, but that becomes very unworkable and unwieldy, because then it means that the PLP MPs are not supporting the person that's been chosen as the PLP leader and expected to be the premier. And so that's a technical point for sure. It's a valid point, and I thank Mr. Perinchief for bringing that up. And so now we are past the first hour. The lines are open up for people to call in if they choose to do so. And we'll carry on going through as we do.
Could I just soft touch that a little bit?
Yeah, keep going.
By saying that was actually repeated almost in 2016, 2017, when Sean Crockwell had left the OBA and became an independent.
So hold on, caller.
The seats then, there were 19 for the OBA and 17 for the PLP.
That's right.
And had he crossed over to the PLP, we would have had a constitutional crisis of 1818, and the governor would have to make a choice to either send the people back to the polls or make a choice, because he has a casting vote.
Which would have been interesting in terms of who would have chosen, right? If both people said we both have 18.
Really,
so I got you. I got you.
Stop the callers from getting in on the questions.
Well, I know this caller is going to be quite interesting, so he's going to put his...
Oh, did we lose him?
No. I got him. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Insight. What's your question or comment? Good evening, caller.
Oh, goodness.
Be on. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Insight.
Anthony, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Richardson. Good evening, Mr. Perinchief. Let me tell you, tonight's show...
I'm not hearing.
Okay.
Bill,
Hold on a second.
I'm not hearing.
Can you volume on? Hold on, caller.
Okay.
No, I'm not hearing the call at all. Yeah. But
You want me to try to call back?
No. Hold on.
Okay.
You good? Okay. Keep talking, caller.
Okay.
yeah,
Let me know when
I hear the caller
You can
now.
hear-
I hear the caller now. Yes, thank you.
Mr. Perinchief and to Mr. Richardson, let me say something to you, because, I'm very vocal, but tonight's show is so informative. I'm telling you, Perinchief, what I hope your party would listen to right now is everything that you're saying. Because some of us in this community can see very clearly what's happening to our country and how we have moved away from the platform of the real PLP that we used to be and have become renegades. And I wonder why people like Edward David Burt, the Premier of Bermuda, does not sit with people like yourself and pay attention. I heard you talk about the Honorable Mr. Arthur Hudson and yourself that made suggestions and it was rejected. And I'm going to say it like this, and I'm not going to stay too long. The other day, the Honorable Glenn Blakeney had Mr. Chris Famous on. And I was surprised to hear Chris talk directly to who he supports as the runners that are running for leadership. And I don't know if you can actually do that openly, and you can address that afterwards, but if you can do that openly, because of the position Bermuda is in, I believe Jason Hayward is a brilliant young man, but he is not leadership material as far as premiership in the condition where we are and where we need to be and where we need to go. How would you say, Perinchief, how would you look at this if you can tell us your opinion? Who do you think right now out of the runners between Jason Hayward and Curtis Dickinson, who is going to be better at the helm that you think? Now, I'm talking about from a point of view of expertise, experience, and who can really run this country economically, because we've got a lot going on socially that we're failing to address. And that's the biggest problem in this country. People are suffering. And this country seems like we've got a bunch of renegades that are either been sought and allegedly bought by people that are running David Burt. Because David Burt ain't running nothing.
Hey, caller.
We know who's running this country.
Caller.
And so I'm going to leave it like that, and hopefully you can tell me who you think will be best out of the two. Because I don't think Jason is it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll caution by saying this, that, because that's what happened last week, I think, a couple weeks, in terms of we had a show supporting or not supporting. This is not about supporting or not supporting a candidate. And I'm thankful, to be honest, that Mr. Perinchief, you might not have been listening earlier, caller. If you have, I apologize for that. But what Mr. Perinchief did is he did not say about an individual. He gave 5 points, right? And of course, feel free to reiterate if you want, because that's what's important. And he told me to reiterate those points. And his point was that what Bermuda, in his opinion, what Bermuda needs right now is a leader that has a understanding of Bermuda's social, economic system, and will ensure that that system benefits everybody equitably and adequately. That's one characteristic. The next one is that that person should be prepared to choose a blend of young and not so young people. And the people that they choose should be strong enough to be prepared to challenge the leader if the leader does change course without proper consultation. That the leader should not micromanage their ministers, but instead they should ensure that they have a light touch of supervision, and that will avoid what he called idol worship. That the leader should understand Bermuda's geopolitical position in the world, both now and into the future. And he doesn't support the idea of it, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He supports the idea of modernization. His example was a typewriter and an old computer. An old computer would outshine a brand new typewriter for sure. And that the leader should fearlessly seek integrity, honesty, transparency, and consistency. And I'll say this, that I like that because it doesn't it doesn't go down to supporting whether it be Minister Hayward or MP Dickinson. What it says is that this is what it thinks are the characteristics, and then the public can choose which of the candidates best support that. What I would like to do, by the way, is for each person, right, each resident, I suppose, is to in their own minds think about what they think leaders should be, and then challenge the leaders to respond to what they think it should be. To say, okay, fine, I can or I cannot do these things, or why am I the best leader based upon what you want me to be. That's what I think the discussion should be. And I think, unfortunately, we have gone to this point whereby we are premature in saying I want one or the other, as opposed to fundamentally, what does Bermuda need at this time? You want to add any comments?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm pretty well in that. And I can understand the caller's sentiments.
Because, don't call him.
Certainly can. And I may well be one of the delegates. It depends. So I'm hold fire at the moment.
Sure.
But I certainly do share the frustrations of the caller. And certainly if neither one or either one of those gentlemen, Mr. Dickinson and
Hayward,
Mr. Hayward, do not fit that bill that I just laid out, or one like it, then who knows? I might spoil my ballot.
Wow. Okay. And actually, let's take this call, right, and come back to that, because I want to ask you about that in terms of what is the value of a spoiled ballot, as opposed to, from your perspective, based upon your background, your history, all that kind of stuff, what's the value of a spoiled ballot as opposed to ultimately choosing one or the other? But that's not it right now.
Well, then, but hold on. But if I don't think either one has met the criteria, I may protest by writing it on my ballot.
But wouldn't you press then to see at least if one doesn't meet all five, the one that meets most of them, or which one most? You wouldn't go to like one of those most situations, or at least you get to a point whereby you do choose one of them as opposed to spoiling it?
Sometimes I'm very rigid in terms of what I think should happen. I just don't want to be. They're going to do it anyway. It's going to go one way or the other.
Yes.
I just don't want to be a part. If I think someone has fallen short of the mark, I'm afraid I'm old school. I cannot vote for them.
Okay. I'll come back to it also in terms of, is it a point where I'll ask you a question in terms as a delegate? Okay. Do you cast your vote from what you think, or do you cast your vote for? Do you think you should cast your vote what you think, or should you cast your vote for the members of the branch that you represent? That's a question.
If I become a delegate, I will cast the vote upon how I have made my assessment or judgment of the candidate.
But is that your role as a delegate?
Pardon?
Is that your role as a delegate?
My delegate is to have a free thinking conscience, and that's what I'll do.
Oh.
So
we'll come back to that. That's an important point.
Yes, because I don't think that I should slavishly follow what a branch might want to do. I might just disagree, and that goes back to what I said earlier. If I disagree with my leader, I'm going to let him or her know that.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Might cost me a minister's seat, but that's okay.
Fine. I'm going to take this call because that's a very important point we talked about last week and otherwise also.
Because it goes back. I'll tell you why.
It's a fundamental thing, though, in terms of
I'll tell you why. Because that is why we have, right as we speak, people, what I call horse trading and shopping around and voting en bloc by saying, if my branch, I'm just the branch A, I want you to vote for candidate B or candidate yellow.
Yes.
And I'm saying, but candidate yellow does not meet what I think are the principles of a leader. Okay. So why should I go against my conscience?
Because okay, let me take the caller first.
Because otherwise, and that you're stripping me.
That's a big conversation to have there.
Yeah, you're stripping me of my free thinking.
Okay, hold on a second. Good evening, caller. Thank you for your patience. What's your question or comment?
I just got that last conversation just shocked me because first of all, I think as a branch member, delegates go to be to represent the branch.
Yes.
You want an independent thinking, then you shouldn't be here. That's like Trump wanted to put his damn delegate up there because he wanted them to just vote for him. He didn't want them to vote how the people voted.
Got you.
That's what you were saying. I'm going to make the decision over all the branch members. But then again, I mean, I think we should go on the exercise of how do we get to where we get to. And even hearing him exercise that, I wouldn't vote for you as a delegate. So you probably would become a delegate if you're getting up there to go conscience. But anyway, I think we do and say a lot of things, and that's how people easily misled. When we say, "Oh, are we voting for a premier, or are we voting for the leader of the PLP party?"
Both. Yeah.
No, we're not. No,
Okay.
we are voting for the leader of the PLP party. Now, the PLP party constitution says that the leader in the event will also stand as the premier. But that leader can go to the House, and there's 36 members in the House can make a different decision.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, though, that...
No, because our Bermuda Constitution doesn't recognize PLP leader as a premier.
But hold on, caller. That's an important point, because I'm not aware, and hopefully you can refer it if that's the case. I'm not aware that the PLP Constitution says that the PLP leader is the premier. Because that would be contrary.
It says they shall. It does say that in there that they will also serve it not as the premier, but he would be the leader in the House. So when they go to the House,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll find it for you. I'll find it in here.
Okay, thanks.
But the Bermuda Constitution
Yes.
doesn't even recognize parties. So who picks the premier of Bermuda? Let's start with the first civics lesson we should have learned in about grade 3 or 4.
So to be clear, hold on, caller. To be clear, the governor does appoint the premier of Bermuda based upon that person.
No. Who makes the recommendation to the governor as to who should be the premier of Bermuda?
If that person commands the majority of the confidence of the House of Assembly, it's usually just a moment. Just a moment. Just a moment.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Caller.
But
what is your question? Ask again. What's your question, caller?
When you do that, you're trying to tell me to get off.
No. I want you to go back to your question.
People, how do we get to the premier of Bermuda?
Okay.
That decision. Let's say another scenario. PLP could have, let's say, people in the PLP are broken. We want Curtis Dickinson, and he don't get what he wants, so you end up with 6 OVA.
Yes.
What? OVA's got how many in the house now?
Right. So I take your point. There can be a combination. I got that.
Whatever. They have 13 in the house.
Yes.
And 5 PLP members say to themselves, or 6, whatever it is, to add it up.
6.
Yes.
Well, we're not gonna put our support behind the PLP leader. We're gonna put our support behind Curtis Dickinson, along with all the OBS
Yes.
people. He will become the premier of the country.
Yes.
Now the PLP will be in a constitutional crisis because the PLP law will be split. Not that you crossed over to OBA.
Okay.
But you just chose the premier, which you have the right to do.
Correct.
They have the right to know in our history. I don't think that's ever happened, but that can't happen.
Okay. So, caller, I'm not trying to cut you off, that's for sure, right? But we talked this earlier in terms of to answer your first point, right? The premier is appointed by the governor. That's a fact, right? The next point, though, is that I think you asked the question in terms of It's not. Like, the governor does appoint the premier.
Goes to the House to be sworn in.
Right. Say again?
Everybody goes to the House to be sworn in.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Everybody's appointed by the governor.
No, that's not true. For example, if I am elected as an MP, then I'm a member of parliament, the governor will ultimately appoint the ministers upon the recommendation of the premier, but the premier is ultimately appointed by the governor, and that's the person that can demonstrate that they command the majority respect of the MPs of the House.
No, the premier gets the MPs of the House, and the premier goes to the governor and says, listen, I possess the majority of that, and the governor says, okay. The governor doesn't say, oh, no, you don't. I mean, you can prove you you can have a vote, and we all, I don't think we've been to that constitution. But the governor isn't choosing the premier of Bermuda.
Hold on. Let's be clear. Because
anyway, we're just getting technical.
Right.
Well, when you say the governor chooses the premier,
No, I did. No, hold on. Slow down. The governor appoints the premier. That's a difference.
Well,
right.
the governor appoints whoever goes to the host that demands the duties.
Okay,
You can say the members of the 36 MPs in his host fix the premier.
Okay, hold on a minute.
Or you could say the governor does it.
Okay, it's important. Hold on one second. We have the Bermuda Constitution Order 1968, right?
Yeah.
And that's what basically overrides the overall organization of government of Bermuda, right? And it says under 58,
and
the governor, stop. Stop. No. Stop. One second. Hold on.
To the governor.
Hold on. The order says the governor, acting in his discretion, shall appoint as the premier the member of the House of Assembly who appears to him best able to command the confidence of a majority of the members of the House. That's it.
So ultimately picks the premier, not the governor.
No.
Right. So, what's the point you're trying to make?
The point,
all I'm saying to you, the person who becomes the premier is dependent on the 36 people in the House.
Yes.
So to make this big argument that the governor appoints the premier is really neither here nor there, because we know exactly whoever goes to the governor to say, listen, this is what we have decided, gone from the 36 members.
Okay, I'm not quite sure I'm getting your point.
I don't know what point you're trying to make by saying, the governor appoints the premier, as if the governor does that in a silo. No.
Okay, I'm not clear. Let me clarify, caller. Let me clarify because
you know what we could say. The governor writes all the laws. The governor
No, stop. Hold on, caller.
That makes the laws in Bermuda.
Hold on for a minute, please.
No law is a law in Bermuda without the governor signing.
Okay, listen, hold on a second. It's very important, right? Certainly in this context, that we understand, because that was the point of this discussion tonight, right? Is that the PLP delegates plus the PLP MPs will choose the PLP party leader in October of 2026 because the current leader is not going to run for re-election. And we have two candidates right now that have put the name forward, which is Minister Hayward and MP Dickinson. So one of those two, unless somebody else puts a name forward, will be chosen as party leader in October, right? The second point for the listening audience is this, that person is not automatically the premier. The point.
Absolutely. That was the point I was making.
Listen to me. So I've got you. So we agree. Listen, we agree. Yes.
We don't automatically.
Hold on. Caller, please hold on for a second, please. Let me clarify this because I want to make sure that the audience is clear about this. The point was that in October, whatever the date is going to be, the PLP leader will be chosen, full stop, by the delegates and the PLP MPs. What will happen separately is that the person that commands the majority support of the members of parliament only, the 36, that person will go to the governor, and the governor will appoint that person to be premier. And the point you're trying to make, which you did earlier, is that does not have to be the same person. In practice, it will be the same person because you would expect that the PLP MPs will support the person that's the PLP leader. It doesn't have to be that way. But that's what's likely. Mr. Perinchief called an accommodation because if it doesn't happen, what will happen then is that if let's say that a person is able to go to the governor and say, I command the majority support, and it's not the PLP leader, it then means that the PLP MPs that support that person are going to have an issue within the party, and it's going to just be chaos. And so I'm suggesting. So that's my point.
I think I said that earlier.
So we do agree.
Or be in a split.
Okay.
But that has nothing to do with who actually becomes. Anyway,
okay, so what's your other point?
It's because, anyway, I think we all agree.
We do.
Because, like I said, too many people, I don't know if they stop teaching civics or people stop learning civics or that's how people so easily fool.
Okay.
That's
you,
why we can fool people.
Okay, gotcha.
It's because we don't properly educate people. We say things like the governor appoints yes, in technical terms, it is.
No. That's a clear point that the governor does appoint the person.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he has to, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And to the listening audience, right? Obviously, I'm not going to cut people off because, have different opinion, but I do always believe that we have to be factual about things, right? And the facts in this case is that the governor does appoint the premier based upon the person that he believes commands the majority support of the members of parliament. That's a fact. That happens all the time. And so, yes, it can be a different person rather, but because people have been asked about this, right, that is I would say, a small possibility, because it means that the PLP MPs who don't support the premier, don't support the PLP leader as premier, are not going to respect the decision of the delegates of the PLP, and that becomes a huge different discussion because, anyway, it's just a huge different conversation, because it means that if Anthony doesn't support the PLP leader as the premier, I have an issue within the party trying to get things done. And that's my point.
Exactly what happened during the situation of Miss Jennifer Smith at the time. There were 11 who supported Mrs. Smith, and there were 11 who did not. Now, the PLP as a party had 22 members. So they had the majority as a party of the House of Assembly. Yes. But it was a question of whether or not Miss Smith was being supported by a majority. She needed 19 of them, not 11. And so and that was never resolved because Mr. Alex Scott came in as the compromise premier because there could not be a resolution otherwise. And that was called by the annual general or special general conference. Delegates conference. Okay. So it makes the point that although Ms. Smith was the party leader and ought to have, under different circumstances, become the person who commanded the 22 people, MPs, I should say, and then go on up to the government house, prove that because the governor would know that, and he would then, on the strength of that majority, make her up. But they could not resolve the problem.
Actually, that's a point too. Yeah. So as far as are you aware, I don't know what the answer is that what is that actual process whereby somebody proves to the governor that they have the majority support? Is it in fact a letter that's written, or how's it?
A letter is written, but however, the results are in about after the election as to.
No, I'm saying, for example,
the election.
So the election is won. Normally, the election is won. Yeah. The premier won the election, right?
A notification is sent on to the governor. It takes various forms, but usually it's a formal.
And so, unless he becomes aware of some dissension, he's going to agree with whatever letter he gets.
Well, the letter he gets supporting that particular person, party leader in this case.
Do you have to sign it? Do you, for example, do the MPs themselves who support him have to sign it as evidence?
I have not known it to go that far. But it is by acclamation. Yes. And if no MP makes any bones about it, then it'll go through. But no. Okay. Yeah,
and again, I think that for me, it's important to have this conversation because a lot of times it is based upon I think, she thinks, whatever the case may think, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day because what is legal is what's legal. And I think in this instance, right, to listening audience, this is one of the reasons why we had Mr. Phil Perinchief come on board, because he does have the expertise, from that legal perspective, and that we're able to, like, literally, people who see us on Facebook, they would have seen that when the caller called just now, Mr. Perinchief went and gave me a copy of the Constitution order. I was able to read that, and that's why we're able to be factual. And also, I'm smiling, as people know me, I smile sometimes because him, the lawyer, he has all the paperwork in front of him. I know some things from memory, but he's giving me stuff to read directly as it pertains. And even earlier, you had heard he was quoting from the PLP Constitution and making sure he was using the actual clauses to back up his point. And so again, I would say thank you for that whole conversation. Now, caller, thank you for your patience. What's your question or comment?
Well, good evening once again, gentlemen. Listening to what Mr. Perinchief said in this decision on how he on his own terms of his own conscience or not voting for what the branch, I think I'm understanding that it's branch who selected him as a delegate wants him to vote in a particular area he would prefer to have the opportunity
Yeah.
to vote on his own conscience. Is that correct?
Yes. Caller, that's a good point. We're going to have a full conversation about that now. Is that okay?
Okay, hold on. I'm not finished that. No, I'm
Well, ask me.
saying that.
Sorry.
What I'm saying is this. Now,
Hold on, caller, listen to me. Caller, hold on a second. Obviously, I want to be respectful, right? Tell me real quick what your points are, because this is actually an important point, and it's take a while for us to go through. I don't want to miss that tonight because it's of the timing.
okay, but what I'm saying is this, is that if you want to be a delegate and you come to the party announcing yourself as wanting to be a delegate, and then you're asking for the support of the party members to represent them to be the delegate, and then of course you must be going to be getting some sort of guardians from the people who is actually going to be voting you in as a delegate to say that this is why we are voting you, because we want you to support this particular person or vote for this particular person. So if that's not the way in which that a delegate is controlled, or put it that way, or the delegate is not understanding and has his own view of that, they shouldn't put themselves forward as being a delegate.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you are not only just representing the party, you're representing the constituency in which that the constituency is guided by the general public who supports who is going to be premier of the country.
Well, got you, caller.
You know,
Point
like
taken.
Okay, thanks, caller. We're going to have a conversation right now about that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
taken. Yeah.
Okay, put the
You're
mic a little
welcome.
bit closer.
I'll listen
Thank you.
off the air.
Got you. Okay, put the mic a little bit closer to you, please.
Sorry?
The mic a little bit closer to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And so, Mr. Perinchief,
Yeah.
pull it closer to you.
Bit close?
Yeah, pull it right there. You go. And so, Mr. Perinchief brought up that full point, and to the caller just now, and it's a big point, by the way. And bless his soul, my father-in-law is no longer with us, right? This is a major point for him. And so let's have a conversation now, because last week or 2 weeks ago, right, we spoke about it in terms of, and not you, but just the moral integrity. That's what the word was, right? In terms of, so let me say this, and then you comment on it, right? So the role of a delegate is to represent the branch view on the leadership candidate and vote accordingly. That's the conversation, right? And so the ideal would be for the branch to canvass the members in that area, right? And get a sense as to, okay, fine, what does the branch members want, or who do they want? Candidate A or candidate B? And then have a meeting and discuss that. Why candidate A, why candidate B, back and forth, all that kind of stuff. And then for the branch to come to a decision about what candidate to support.
Okay.
And then for the delegate to basically carry forward that view and cast a vote.
Right.
Which is interesting, because what you said is that you don't, in my words, don't agree with that, and that you should be able to independently cast your vote the way you think it should be. Which in my words actually is contrary to the role of delegate, because the delegate is not voting for themselves, they're voting to represent the interests of the branch.
Okay.
So talk to us now about that.
Sure.
And clarify, because I'm a bit surprised, to be honest, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, let me say this. From my point of view, if that is the case, and the particular person who they are asking me to vote for is not, in my view, although it may be the branch's view, that person ought to become the party leader, then I would decline being a delegate, quite frankly, and have someone else step in my place. Because what I will not do is go forward and support somebody who I'm told to support, who I don't think would be. So I would decline.
That's interesting, because, so let's speak more fundamentally, because...
Okay, just one.
Sure.
Decline. But of course, hope that somebody else would be that delegate. So I would make my position known right up front, so that I don't waste the branch's time, don't waste my time, or whatever. So they would know who I know. And so I don't slow the process up. Neither, I mean, if it's a secret ballot.
Yes, it is. Hold on.
Right. And you may ask yourself, because I wouldn't ever call names, but there have been people who said that they were going to vote for, I'll say A.
Yes.
And on the secret ballot, voted for B.
Yeah, because there's no way, easy way to know what the person really does.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So I would not go that far.
Okay.
I would right up front say, this is whom I think. Now, you guys can make me a delegate or not.
Yes.
But that's the way I am going to vote. And they say, well, Perinchief, I don't need you as a delegate. And that's fine.
And what's interesting, right? So for example, right, in a branch, there may be, say there are 8 delegates.
Okay.
Right? And obviously, in the branch itself, not everyone's going to agree for the same person. There's going to be disparate votes. So my question is, do you think then that of the 8 delegates, let's say 5, whatever it is, do you think that there should be a block vote, or should it be in fact, okay, fine, let's have a vote, for example, right? And 60% say candidate A and 40% candidate B, that then they should allocate the votes accordingly?
Well, put it this way, let me get before that majority business.
Sure.
I would not even be in that at all, because I'm going to say up front, don't make me a delegate if you're going to ask me to vote for A when I believe B should be. In other words, don't waste your time, don't waste my time.
But that's even okay. So do you think
then pick somebody else who's a delegate and who would fit that bill? That way, I don't harm the branches.
But the question then, so from your constitutional point of view, right?
Because
do you think that the delegates should not reflect the members' opinions?
Oh no. What I'm saying is that if that is the majority opinion of the branch, then no, I'm not going to go to the next step and go against the branch.
Got you, okay.
Yeah, but hold on. But show me where because I may have just missed it, or I have an outdated constitution for the PLP.
Yes.
But where does it say that if the branch says to vote for A at the delegates conference, then that's what I should do and not vote for B?
So you want to see, I don't know, have in front of me, of course, but you're asking in terms of what is the role of a delegate?
Or is that the convention? Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Fair
enough.
No, I may have completely missed it, quite frankly.
Okay.
But I don't see where that is. But I would not be deceitful with the branch.
That's you, I'm talking about, and you are speaking, of course, of your personal integrity, so I got that.
Yes,
yeah,
and I would certainly tell them right up front, before, if you're going to make, or if I'm eligible to be, and I'm likely to be a delegate, listen, this is how I'm voting.
Yes.
So you guys, before you make me that, don't make me a delegate.
That's interesting. And I'll ask one more time. So,
and that's what I meant by
right now,
reforming.
But put on your hat now as a constitutional reform consultant.
Yes.
Right. What is the role of a delegate?
The role of a delegate is to, in this instance, for me, quite purely, is to vote for the person whom you, in your own conscience and assessment, will make the best party leader, and ultimately, in the case of PLP, the premier.
And so
just for a moment,
right?
Because if I did the reverse, and the other person is chosen, and goes on in and makes not a good job of it,
yes,
I am responsible for that or part of that.
And so
because I helped choose them,
right? And so just to ask one other question, then, in terms of almost by definition, a delegate is what? Isn't it somebody that's delegated to do something, as opposed to their acting on their own accord? Or
dictated to do something?
Well, not dictated, because in this case, it's a process. You're not told. It's a process.
That's
interesting.
And here's the process.
Well,
if you become a delegate, this is the branch's position. Vote for A. Even though, in your heart of hearts, you believe B is a better candidate.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because it would cause me a lot of internal turmoil. Sure. So I would be honest enough, as I said earlier, this is my position right up front.
Yes.
Before I even become a delegate.
And so,
but they know that if I do become a delegate, and there's 8, you said?
Yes.
And 7 of you guys are voting for B, and I'm voting for A, that's where it's at.
So by extension, it's that, go back to the broader role of a member of parliament. So as a member of parliament, there's going to be a vote on whatever. What's your comment in terms of your responsibility to understand and to reflect the vote, the the voters in your constituency as opposed to your personal position?
Oh, okay. I'll put it even. I'll take that position.
Sure.
If that is the policy and position of the party or of the government of the day, and I happen to be part of that, I'll support that. That has been the case in cabinet.
Yes.
And cabinet all the time. We have ministers who go back and forth, but once that majority decision is taken, then collective responsibility imposes on you to either do one or two things.
Sure. Okay.
Continue with that. Now, if you don't believe that your conscience can guide you, or you can live with your conscience by doing that, then resign as a minister, and off you go. And I think that's what Mr. Dickinson, in fact, did on an issue.
Yeah.
And I have the utmost respect for him for that, and any other person who takes that position. But so it would be a case that the majority, or in the context of the cabinet, or even in the House. There are several times when people abstain in the House, quite frankly, when votes come up, and that's called a conscience vote. And I don't know why the conscience vote can't track through if we are talking about a democracy, if we are talking about freedom of speech, freedom of thought, all of that.
Yes. Okay.
And there are instances that challenge that. So I'm going to be, as I said, upfront. They hear it now, it's broadcast.
Yes.
So I may or may not be a delegate.
Sure.
But my point is that we have to look towards some kind of reform whereby we can handle issues like this,
Yes.
but not slavishly say because the group wants it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
But that's my position. I'm not saying my position is correct.
That's fine. Good evening, caller. Thank you very much for your patience. What's your question or comment?
Yes, good evening to Mr. Perinchief as well. Mr. Richardson, you kept asking what about the role of the delegate, and I think that's what's happening. A lot of people don't know what the role of a delegate is, in the sense that if you are picked as a delegate, first of all, it should have been a discussion between who are, as that constituency, who they want to go with, and most likely it would have been a vote to say that we want A, and if B, A, you have a discussion with A and B. Then you pick as a constituency, you should be able to talk it out and vote on it before you even pick a delegate.
Right.
That's how it should be. Yeah. And then you can still discuss it some more. And then when the delegates are picked, they should go on what the constituency wants and not on the volition. Because of the fact we picked you, I picked you to represent me
for that candidate
at the delegates conference.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, understood. And that's the process I think that should go through, because if that person, say me in this case, believe that the branch have chosen someone who I could not support, then I think it's honest enough to say, well, please don't make me a delegate. Don't waste my vote.
So you don't even put your name forward.
Yeah, exactly.
But caller, caller, just to ask another question.
But the process is important.
Yeah, caller, what happens though? What happens? What's your thought though in terms of if the branch has, it's not going to be 100% for one person. Let's say 60% vote for one person and 40 for the other. Do you think that the branch delegate vote should reflect that 60-40, or should it just be the majority? That's who they vote for.
Okay, so the vote should have been, you've discussed that you want, there's A and B running.
Yes.
You've discussed the pros and cons of A and B.
Yeah.
Then, if it doesn't seem like it's a full majority,
yes,
have a vote. And the majority should rule.
And stick by the vote.
And then the delegates should take that information, and when they go to what you would call it, TC, or something like that, whatever.
Yes.
When you go there, you need to say, okay, it's 4 of us, and they need to vote en bloc because they are representing this.
That's interesting. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that's interesting.
And then with that, though, now say like when you get to the CC, and then there's some ups and downs, and it might even be some things that you learned about that you all didn't find out in your branch meeting.
Yes.
You need to go back to call a quick meeting somehow, someday with your constituency.
No time for that, but okay.
Huh?
At the actual time, at the actual meeting, right? There's no time for that. So it's
sometimes it's going backwards and forwards.
Yes.
I don't think a person bends out right away.
Yes.
And you have a quick meeting somehow someday.
I got you. Well, again,
what's that?
And really, to tell you the truth, this is the first time I heard so much about who the next premier is going to be. You got two in running. And then somebody else might put their head in the ring on the day.
Yes.
And then you're in a quandary because of the fact you got a third person in the race and you thought you'd be voting against too.
Right. But it's
a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, of learning how the PLP picks first, their premier and their leader.
Yes.
To me, it's a more democratic because they reached out to us as members of the PLP.
Yes.
Whereby saying, like, remember with the OVA, I think they picked their leader in Cardinal.
Well, I don't know the process.
Well,
yeah.
You wouldn't either. But you have to do your civics, like the lady said. We have to do our.
That's good.
No, fully understand.
That's the way they do theirs. So it's a little different from us. But it's just that my real comment is that let's not do a whole lot of mudslinging and everything like that, because if A becomes the premier, he can pick B as the finance minister. Or if it's the other way around, you can do B Vance, well, he'll pick so and so for something else. So that's good. It's just them for the premiership.
That's good.
That's and then let's help each other.
Yes.
And then they got another set of people running for
deputy. Yes.
I mean, you got like 6
3.
of them running.
No, 3 so far, just 3.
Which is
Yes.
yes.
Get 3.
It's just MP Furbert, Tanae Furbert.
Yeah, but deputy leader.
Right, MP Weeks.
Yeah, but
Yes.
And
deputy leader.
MP Lawrence Scott. That's the entry that put the name forward so far.
But those positions
and
come
the
only.
He hasn't put his head in the ring yet, right?
Those-
Beg your pardon?
Like just before.
Beg your pardon?
Sorry.
I said the current deputy hasn't put his name in the in the ring yet, right?
Correct.
Yeah. But anyhow, with all of that, let's just be nice.
Yes.
Let's just
Be respectful.
nice. All day around. That's just good. And so Vince, and after a while, how long are they in their premiership for?
Leadership, 4 years.
If they don't do no.
4 years.
At least.
If they're not sharp, they can drop
Before they can be challenged.
Yeah, but I mean, hold on. Just to be clear, right? The positions are voted for 4 years. There can be a special delegates conference to remove them, but the actual period is 4 years. That's the standard period, 4 years for each
right,
of them.
And they have to live up to all what they say they have to do, because, like you said, it can be a challenge.
Yes.
And the challenge can even come from us out into the constituency. Say, what's going on there?
Gotcha. Okay, thank you, caller.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyhow, Mr. Perinchief, thank you for the civics.
Not a problem, my dear. But in any event, though, the deputy leader position is really a position under the PLP Constitution, not the
correct.
Bermuda Constitutional Order.
Correct. There is no formal position of deputy.
Precisely.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, good evening, caller. Welcome to Insight. What's your question or comment?
I think what you was looking for was proportionate representation when you're saying when 60-40. But when there's only one leader, there can't be no proportionate representation. There's only one person who could become the leader.
No, what I'm saying is that...
second person to run off.
No, but my point, though, is that if the branch has, for argument's sake, 10 delegates, right? And the members of the branch say that some support one candidate, others support the other candidate, it is possible to have, say, 6 of the 10 votes go for candidate A and 4 of the 10 votes go to candidate B. That's what I was getting at.
Right, I agree, but I'm saying we're voting for one person.
No.
In the end, no, let me finish.
Yes.
In the end, there could only be one winner.
Yes.
So if the 36... how many branches?
36.
The 36 branches. And of the 36 branches, the majority picked A. B could never win because the majority of all the branches picked A.
Right. But again,
Even if you have proportionate representation, B could never win.
no, that's not true. That's not true because remember that in branch number 1, right, they might get, in branch number 1, candidate A might get 4 votes, candidate B might get 6, right? So you start off 6, one has 6, one has 4. Each of the other branch might vote differently. So yes, every vote could always count. That's for sure.
Well, there's 4 votes may win.
I agree that every vote always count, but when you okay, anyway, I'm going to be either, but no, that's not. It's mathematically impossible.
No, it's not.
If everybody voted for it, because I think it's what 20 or 25.
No, hold on.
Members.
No.
Equals a delegate?
Stop for a minute. There might be as many as, let's say, 200 delegates.
Right, but you're right. But they all represent. So
Slow down.
Anyway, if the majority, even if you have proportionate representation in there, if the majority of every branch member voted for A, and some will vote for B. You will get some branches that vote for B.
Understood. But the real question was that, and it was just a question for people, and I'll find out now that in terms of should there be block votes or not by the branch? Should for each branch vote either for one person or other, or should the branch itself be able to split its votes? And it's just a question, to be honest. And so we'll find out about that.
I mean, I think I understand what you're saying, but I'm still saying as a accountant like you are that in the end it would be mathematically impossible for B to win if the majority. No, what you can't. I think what you're trying to say. Let's say constituency 20. They have and remember, you only could have. I mean,
no, hold on. Listen. Let me real quick. So in branch 1, right, I might get 6 votes, and Mr. Perinchief get 4. So at that point in time, I'm ahead. I'm 6, his 4. In branch 2, it might be the reverse. He gets 6, I get 4. So at that point in time, but both were 10 and 10. And you go up the ratchet line. So yes, it does make sense. But my real point, to be honest, is that I asked the question.
But at some point, like I said, when you get to the end, but the thing is, in the end, that when you proportion it out, branch A would have voted for, even if it was 6-4 for the branch, they would have voted for person A.
No,
now let's say branch
6 for A, 4 for B.
Branch 2 voted for person B.
Right.
They still would have gotten that vote for B.
Okay, but I got your point.
And they would have less votes. And then again, a lot of the premiership is based on the strength of a branch. So that it is incumbent on the MP or the branch committee or over there to get out there. And yes, can you manipulate it? Yes. Chances are, I mean, because I had this conversation, actually, my daughter was asking me, can somebody do what Perinchief said? Yes, they can. But who would spend their whole life recruiting people in order to get to a point where you convince people that you believe in A, and they'll go behind closed door and do B? I mean, is it possible? Yes, that's possible.
Okay.
It's really possible to do that. But I mean, at some point, you got to have some faith. And then you say, well, why is it a plus thing?
Secret.
Would you want the premier to know that, hey, well, constituency 1 didn't vote for me, so they want to bridge on in constituency 1. Maybe me as premier should reject it.
No worries. We got you, caller. You're going farther than that. Thanks.
That's why it's secret.
Understood.
It's because we don't want the premier to know who voted for them or who voted against them. Because even if it's not biased,
okay, we got you, caller. Thanks.
It's not wanted.
Okay, no worries. Now I'm trying to say bye because a lot of people are calling. Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Good evening, caller. Can you be short? But at the end of the show almost, but I want to take your comment anyway.
Okay, I'm going to be short because I have called before. And I was just calling on a comment Mr. Perinchief made that he supported the finance minister.
He did not say that. No. Stop. That is not true. He has not said who he supported at all. So let's please avoid that. He did not say that.
Not that part.
He did not say that. Let's be very clear. He did not say who he supports.
What I'm saying, in the part where he stepped down because of the decision which was being made by the premier, and he stood down from being finance minister. This is what I'm talking about.
Okay, be very clear. So Curtis Dickinson, stop. For the listening audience, let's be very clear. Minister Curtis Dickinson, he was the finance minister at that point in time, he did resign his position because he said that he could not support the, he had ongoing disagreements with the decisions of the cabinet, and that's why he stood down, which is correct.
Yeah.
So let's be clear. That's nothing to do with...
What was that? That was based on the decision of the money that was going to be lent to the Southampton Princess?
No. He said there was... No, it was not one... It was not one discussion point. So let's leave it alone, okay? Let's leave that for tonight, please.
Okay, anyhow, that's inside joke. All right, thank you very much.
No worries. Good evening, caller. Let's be punchy. What's your question or comment?
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So, I look at democracy.
Listen to me. Be concise, because right now we're very close. And your turn.
Yeah, I look at democracy as a beast, and
as a what, sorry?
Go off and go out of that wheel and do their own thing. The wheel can't run. The wheel can't turn. People got to understand what they're doing, and in a true democracy, the majority carries, and so the majority may oftentimes go against what you feel, what you wish. But that's democracy. And I think it's immature when people say, well, I didn't get my way, or I can't get my way, or people didn't vote in the way I wanted them to vote. I'm going to leave.
Understood.
I'm going to pick up my marbles and go. We got to become more mature than this here. You see, if the wheel going to turn, then we all got to play our part in that wheel turn. And not want to go off and do. Paula Cox said it right. I'm a cog in the wheel. And this is how we got to see ourselves, that we're joining a team. For the team to function properly and well, then people got to be able to go along with it.
Yes. And
simple as that. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. Okay, so this has been an interesting discussion, not necessarily cutting it off right now, right? And I don't know if you can do a part B or part 2 with you, Mr. Perinchief, next week or not, but we will see.
No problem.
What's important, though, is not important. What is, I guess, interesting for me is an observation that this is the first time we've had a PLP leadership contest that's been so public.
Yes.
Normally, it's literally you go
behind closed doors.
Branch by branch, delegate by delegate. But this time it's very, very public.
I think it's healthy.
I'll ask this question though in terms of it's healthy, but also is it risky? In terms of heaven forbid, right? You get to a point where there is the public sentiment that the candidate, the leader should be me, and the delegate decision is going to be you, Phil Perinchief. Do you run the risk, though, that now you have a different issue because the public said it should be me, delegate said it should be you, and then how do we manage the country because you have some people potentially upset, like the guy just said, upset because they voted for me, but they wanted it to be me, but it ended up being you.
Yeah, I say this, that because something's risky doesn't mean that we shouldn't take the risk. and quite frankly, opening it up this way, because, as we said, we're not just really in reality choosing a party leader. We are also choosing a premier.
Okay.
So, yes, and if there's pressures on people, for instance, a branch says, I'm going to support A, and the delegates there say, I'm going to support A, and then their family members and the rest of the public who come out begin to prevail upon them why B is a better choice, then to me that's healthy because now they have to go to a different level of rationalization or rational process and say, have I done the right choice? And as this one caller said, we may have to go back to the table and look at it. Now, I said earlier that I would love to see our party, or the PLP in this case, and the OBA, because you mentioned that. I would like to see them grow and evolve and be reformed, because that's what this show is all about. Expanding. It's the typewriter computer example.
Gotcha.
We cannot continue to do the same things in the same way and expect to get improved results.
Gotcha. Fair enough. What I will say, by the way, and today, of course, was World Cup, and people are not necessarily into the early part of the show, but you said many things which I would like to explore. I can't do it now, of course, because of the time, and Brother Blakeney Brother Blake's always has a good comment about these shows, right? But you said a lot of things about your own background, right? In terms of, like, one thing that made me interested is that you, my words, correct me if I'm wrong, though, that you wouldn't be that you are really a socialist as opposed to a capitalist, but you had to come to a decision whereby you had to support, what word did you use?
Well, from pragmatic point of view, social democracy.
Right. You had to end up on that footstep. You talked about so many things, and this is the first show to the public, right? It's the first time Mr. Perinchief's been there. I might actually figure out getting him back next week, to be honest. We're getting close to cut match, but I don't want to go too cut match. I couldn't quite
make next week up.
So we'll see.
Some other engagements.
We might impress him to change his plan. But certainly a lot of things you talked about, your original involvement, your exposure to racism, your involvement in the Black Berets, how you and Dr. Brown came back and sat on City Hall steps to positively enact the idea of freedom of association.
Yep.
They tried to move you off, but you were able to be there for like 3 hours or whatever the case may be. It's just so much that you talked about in university or while you're overseas. You got engaged in some of the protests against the Vietnam War, which brought you into a different reality around the value of protests. The fact that you were a teacher, qualified teacher, obviously a lawyer, and many, many other hats. And so what I would do, clearly, though, in all seriousness, would be that it was quite interesting. You didn't mention your brothers on that type of thing, by the way, but interesting that you are a person that we all think we know, but again, there's so much that we don't know. Obviously, former Attorney General, those type of things also. And so maybe what we'll do is, what I'll do actually now is invite you another time to talk more generally about Bermuda, because depending on how this conversation went tonight, right, I was always going to talk about Bermuda's history in terms of its social development, right?
Sure.
Obviously, pre-1968, when it was no party per se, or 64 really, and then how we got to elections and how we've evolved socially. About one of the biggest things, by the way, which others would support, is that although Bermuda is successful economically, it is not broadly felt by others. And that's why we have cost of living issues, there's a housing issue, there's so many other issues that we can talk about more substantively from your point of view, because, as you said earlier, you joined the PLP in 1967.
4 years after it was formed.
And it's a lot of history that you can reflect on because you were there.
Yeah.
And that's one of the beauties also in terms of, as we get older, or just, there is no better teacher than experience in many instances, right? And even some of your other comments would be, oh, I didn't know that. For the general public to hear different things, right? And maybe then ask questions about that. Clearly, you would have been around, or you'd be aware of the disturbances. You mentioned when the governor first came in.
Yes.
The docket was the police officer, police commissioner, I suppose.
1965.
Obviously, that went through him, not because of that, but ultimately he got murdered. All those things. So maybe a conversation we can hear about that. And so
it would be my pleasure.
Gotcha. Any closing comments?
Yep, very clearly. Yes. Actually, we could start from 1609 and come forward if you want, because the very system, you talked about a maldistribution of the economic pie or wealth of this country. Well, they put in merchants then and even now had put into place an economic system and a taxation system, a regressive one, that has held the same economic disparities in place since they have been merchants in this country. So there's no breaking into it unless that foundation is uprooted. I say that, and I'll come on the latter end of that by saying we at this point have constitutional arrangements that are taking place. The Premier is involved with it. Our present Attorney General is involved with it. That will work out arrangements, notwithstanding constitutional reform. They're not dealing with that at all. They are looking at different arrangements as to run Bermuda, but Bermudians are not locked into just how we're going to do that.
You talking about CARICOM, for example?
Well, no, beyond CARICOM. There are fundamental constitutional reforms and arrangements which appeared in this article, Royal Gazette.
Yes.
Just recently, when King Charles was here.
Yes, okay.
And we have not had a report, and to his credit, the Premier did set out 5 steps that this is going through, consultation and what have you. But at the end of the day, that does not reform our constitution, but it will allow UK to give a modern arrangement as to how they run Bermuda.
Understood.
From 4,000 miles away. And that is a constitutional arrangement and reforms that also should be looked at in a wider context. And there are 5 steps that the Premier did set out. I won't go into them now.
But that's good, though. Okay.
Yeah.
So definitely let's come back after cut match, all that kind of stuff, when you have time and have a different conversation. Because also there's a conversation in terms of whilst even now the PLP, for example, have taken political power, it's more than true that they have not been able to transform that political power into economic power. Precisely. And we still have issues around that.
Because the same
fundamentally something have not changed.
The same people and the same systems are still in place.
Gotcha, okay.
They've just been like the tide rise, but the inequalities have arisen or rose as well. Yes. But they are still intact.
Gotcha. Okay. So again, to listening audience, thank you very much for joining us here on Magic 102.7 on your Sunday evening. We definitely appreciate that. I'm going to decide this week whether we have one more show about this. We've had 3 so far, maybe one more to tie it up, and then obviously after that it's going to be cut match. And so no one wants to listen to anything political at that point in time, and so I'm going to be sensible around that. But I've definitely enjoyed the conversation. I've enjoyed the comments that have come in. I've enjoyed people stopping me on the street and asking questions. And I guess most importantly, I'm enjoying the fact that the public are listening and paying attention to what's taking place in terms of this whole leadership, because it's, as Mr. Perinchief reinforced just now, guess what? It is more than choosing a leader. And that's been a different commentary for me tonight, even, to be honest, in terms of why public, because it is more than a leader. And the public will be impacted by the decision of the delegates, because unless something takes place which we don't expect, the leader that they choose will be the premier. And those two things will become one and move forward. To each of the candidates, all of the candidates, I do encourage them, I do applaud them, because it's not easy putting your name forward to be a candidate. As you can hear here and otherwise, you put your name forward, and guess what? Some will applaud you, others will tear you down effectively, and we see that in the marketplace. We also want to commend the 3 candidates thus far that have put their names forward in terms of being the deputy. It's almost like a quiet thing there, but the deputy, which would be Minister Tanae Ferbert, MP Lauren Scott, and now former Minister but current MP Michael Weeks. Looking forward to what they put into the media. And I'll say this too, by the way, I was accused of being biased. I did speak to each of the leader candidate teams to ensure that they're invited to come on the show if they choose to do so. That's up to them. But the show itself this week or the prior weeks have not been intended to support either candidate. People have said other comments, but that's not the case. And I'll say one more time that I have not had a pre-conversation with either Charles Richardson, Cordell Riley, or Mr. Perinchief about this show. And definitely, I've made no comment in terms of who I would or would not support. Actually, at this point in time, I have no vote, because I'm not a delegate, not a member of parliament. And so as of right now, I don't have a vote in the actual process. And so again, to the listening audience, though, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Looking forward to the next 2 weeks. Cut match in Bermuda. Cut match time in Bermuda. And so everything's going to change culturally and all the rest of it. So look forward to that. Please, please, please be safe. I want to close real quick with a comment, too, in that I think it's absolutely outrageous that it appears as if a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old were shot.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Whether by accident or intent. It makes no sense at all for people at that young age to be engaged in that activity. Whatever. It's just absolutely crazy. And so we have an issue, Bermuda. Dale Butler did make a post in terms of what his comments are and others. We have to really address this. This is going beyond the pale, as they say. At 15 and 16, they haven't even formed themselves, not that they themselves caused it, but I'm saying to be shot at, anyway, I'll leave it at that. But we should be concerned. The village has to come together, because it's entirely unacceptable. And one more time, if you're out early or late, please, please, please wear a high visibility vest, a light or something to let people see you. I drive early, I drive late, and sometimes people are dressed all in black. You can't believe it. Like, why would you do such a thing? I'm driving sensibly. You pop out, you're on a corner, I can't see you. Give me enough chance to see you at a distance to make my adjustment so that you don't end up being hurt by me hitting you with my van. And others, of course, please also slow down, be sensible, and let's please make sure everybody gets home safe for today and all other days. Summer's upon us. It's hot. It's time to have some fun, but please let us be sensible. And on that note, Bermuda, good night. God willing, until next week.
Bermuda Live on YouTube. Subscribe now.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Yes, sir. 1 second.